Hi YouTube. So today I'm in my office. There's a reason for that. I want to do a book review. Yay! Book reviews! I can read. So I read quite a bit. I read for work to get better at writing and to get better at editing and to get better at knowing what a good story is. If you read a lot of stories, you start getting a feel for where things are going. Reading is fundamental. We all stay in school, kids. So, I figure I might as well talk about the books when I read them, or at least some of them, because you might find that interesting. You might find a book that you want to read. Also, if I tell you about the books, that's kind of like doing a book report. And if I do a book report, I should get a personal pan pizza. I don't know who's going to provide these personal pan pizzas, but I have faith in the power of the universe, in that if you do book reports, you're going to get pizza. That just makes sense. So the book I just finished reading is Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff. Yeah, I know the words are backwards. I tried to figure out how to fix this on my phone and flip everything correct, and it's hard. It's technology, and it's hard. So, Lovecraft Country. I have it on my Kindle. About half of my books now I get on Kindle instead of, physical books. I like that I can just, pop it in my bag and go. Love my Kindle. So, how do I feel about this book? I thought it was really good. I like the direction he went with it. So I'll give you a quick synopsis of the book. You know Lovecraft. You know that whole genre of stories. Your Lovecraft, your William Hope Hodgson. Things like that. Something creepy's happening. Oh no, it's a haunted house. It's a ghost. It's an elder god. It's a secret society of murderers who want to sacrifice somebody to destroy the world. It's big, it's dramatic, it's dark, it's gothic, it's Lovecraft. It stems out of the tradition of Poe and Shelley and things like that. So that's where we're starting with here. We're starting with the concept of Lovecraftian stories. The thing that makes this book really interesting is it takes place in the 1950s. And the main characters are a family. Well, I guess it's not just family. It's a family and friends of the family of a group of African Americans who are, at the beginning of the story, our main character, or one of our main characters. I can't really say anyone's a main character. He's the main character in the first story, so I tend to think of him as the main character of the book, but he isn't. So at the start of the book, our first story's main character, Atticus Turner, is driving from Jacksonville, Florida to see his father in Chicago. I'm not going to give away much more of the book after that. But he's driving through, and he's thinking about a lot about Jim Crow, because this is before schools were segregated is when this book's taking place. Before the military was fully segregated. The character that I'm talking about, Atticus, he was a soldier. He's been honorably discharged, living in Jacksonville, going back to Chicago to see his father, because his father wrote him a creepy letter. The creepy letter is definitely a Lovecraftian trope. It's a good way to get your character in motion. And Matt does a really good job of using those Lovecraftian tropes as a framework for the stories in here. So the way the book's set up, it's short stories. It's a series of connected, related short stories. So there's one story that's about 3 of the characters or 4 of the characters. And then the next story, one of those characters is doing something else. And then in the next story, that character's sister might be doing something, or one of the other characters' wives might be doing something, or the kid might be doing something. And you get information about the world, Lovecraft Country sort of world that is built here. One where there are different alien worlds. There are things hiding in the forests and creatures and like all the things you would expect in a Lovecraft story. But on top of that, we have the framework of racism in the 1950s in America. So there's some pretty real moments in here of racial prejudice, of violence, of like pretty, I wouldn't say the book has extreme violence in it. Like there's definitely violence in here. But the difference between this and say like just your regular fantasy horror story is they're talking about real things overlaid on the fantasy. Like real things that still happen to this day to African Americans in the United States. Like being afraid to drive or being afraid to be someplace at night where, you know, somebody's going to notice you and be like, oh, that person doesn't belong here. Look at this person walking around being black, holding some Skittles. I guess we're going to have to like shoot them. This is a reality that people live. A lot of people in this country live this. And back then, it was even worse. Back then, there was no one. Like, there were lynchings going on in the 1950s in America. Like, just straight up grab somebody, drag them out of their bed, beat them, hang them from a tree, and nobody gets in trouble for this. Nobody even investigates it. Like, there's a token investigation. They're like, oh, well, somebody did it. But there are people out there who are murderers, who are still alive now, who've never been brought to any sort of trial or charges, who participated in these lynch mobs. Like, I hope they feel grief and remorse and guilt, but they're never gonna see the inside of a courtroom. And that's where this book's coming from. It's coming from the reality of the 1950s and then adding to it all these like awesome Lovecraftian tropes to create a story about magic, science fiction, monsters, and family, trust, friendship, love. It's really good. Highly recommend reading it if you are into any of those things. Let's see, my favorite story in here is probably the one where the character Hippolyta goes to a planetarium or an observatory. That was a really good one in my opinion. I thought that one was really well written. And I like the one about Horus. He's the son of two of the other characters. His story was really good. And the nice thing about this is you have all these separate stories that are all dealing with a different like horror trope. And then at the end, all the stories converge for the final story. So give it a look. If you don't feel like giving it a look and reading this book, that's cool too, because Jordan Peele and J.J. Abrams are currently working on making this into a movie. They're filming it here in Georgia, which is great because we thought they were going to leave because of the heartbeat bill. A lot of studios have been leaving and they decided not to, so that's good because they're going to be giving a lot of the money. A lot of the proceeds of the movie are actually going to go to help fight that bill and to protect women's rights in Georgia, women's reproductive rights, or people's reproductive rights, sorry, because not all people who can get pregnant are women. The majority are. I mean, that's just the way it is. But keep in mind that trans men and gender non-binary people can also get pregnant. And they face a lot of other health challenges just because of the way they're treated in the U.S. So adding extra health challenges on top of that is really kind of a shitty thing to do, and we shouldn't be doing it. We shouldn't be denying anybody their bodily autonomy. That's just me. So that's it. That's the whole book, or my whole review of the book, and I hope you check it out. Matt Ruff seems to be a good author. He has a couple other books, and I'm thinking I'll probably go check out some of those too. And I will definitely check out the movie. I'm also going to try to see if I can get on as an extra in the movie. I love being an extra in movies. I've been on several sets, and I go back and watch the movies. I can't ever find myself in them. So I can't prove to anybody, except for I guess maybe the pay stub from the production company. But I can't ever like point at the movie and be like, that's me. That's me right there. I'm the person dying right there in that like camp with the aliens on that cot over in the corner. Yeah, that's me. I'm dying. No, yeah, it doesn't work. Like in Ant-Man, I'm like, that's me in that blur over there in the on the yeah, that's me. No, you can't see me. Maybe I'll get lucky one of these days and you'll be able to see me in a movie. Ooh, awesome. So, Lovecraft Country, check it out. And I'm going to try to have a Twitch channel soon and do this on like a schedule of some sort. With the Twitch channel, you'll be able to talk back to me. So we'll be able to have conversations. And that might be a better place to do book reviews. I could tell you what I'm reading maybe a couple weeks in advance. And if you've read it or you want to read it, you can come and discuss it with me. And that would be tons of fun. So y'all have a great whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Bye.